Hi everybody, I'm Adele Levine, intuitive and medium, and today we're going to get into it on remote viewing. Please subscribe and comment and like if you want to. And I love hearing comments. I notice you guys are commenting more, and that's awesome. I love it because I like the participation between us and everyone else. So yeah, I'm really excited about remote viewing because this is a topic that for a long time I was kind of apprehensive to talk about. I use it in my intuitive readings, I use it in my medium readings, and I'm going to explain to you what remote viewing really is and how I do it. Now, I can't exactly teach you through a video tutorial remote viewing, but I can explain to you what it is so you can kind of have an idea of what it really is, because it is depicted a lot of times extremely, I don't know, exaggerated, I would say, or people have a view of it of being, maybe like almost impossible for them. And it really isn't. It is something people can learn, but it is one of those things you have to really, really, really hone. Just like anything, just like your intuition or talking to spirits. And I just kind of want to break it down a little bit in a way that may not seem so mystical. And I'm also excited about it because I've done a lot of stuff on spirits. And if you see me swatting over here, I'm not swatting spirits. It's my cats, again, who want to come and play. And I've done a lot of stuff on spirits, spirit communication, and, how to, cleanse spirits and all this. But this is the part of me, the other type of readings I do, which is intuitive readings, which I can see the future in the sense of timelines. So I definitely believe in there's multiple timelines, and that every decision we're making is creating a future. So instead of it being like a preordained destiny, and I have Yoda with me to help me through this video. Thanks, Yoda. And his coffee. But I believe that in those multiple timelines, as we are walking on one of the current timelines, which is the present, every decision we're making is creating a future. So I don't believe in like someone created some blueprint and you're just following this future and you have no choice. I kind of see it like the Matrix, and that's how I see time. So when I do remote viewing, I'm kind of jumping that timeline. So in my readings, if I'm doing it on an intuitive reading and I see, okay, in 3 months, or this is what I see happening, it's not like in 3 months, this is what I see happening, and you don't have a choice. I'm letting someone know that this is the direction this timeline is heading. That it's almost like a stream of energy, and all the decisions you made up to this point is starting to create this future. However, and you may be wondering, what does remote viewing have to do with time? But it has a lot to do with time, because remote viewing, and some people kind of believe that remote viewing is just another term for psychic or whatnot, but to me there's different parts. There's for me, I can see into people's houses and see their inside. I don't want to be like I'm seeing into your house, but I can see into spaces, I can describe them, I can walk around in them, so to speak, and see. It's kind of like a map, and I can see, okay, you walk in the door and this is on the left and this is on the right, and I can do that, and I've done it many, many, many times in readings. And I used to even do it for fun, just like on the phone with someone, to just kind of see, they'll get a little weirded out in a fun kind of way. That was like when I was practicing it. But the other part of remote viewing is time. To me, it's the idea of skipping time into the future and also being able to see time in the past and of course in the present. So let me give you 2 examples, okay? So one example is in the intuitive readings, if someone asks me, about a person, I can find that person. I don't need a name. It sounds strange, I know, but many people have seen me do it. And it's kind of like searching, and I'm like, okay, there's a person. I can describe them and what they're like and even what they're doing. I don't invade, because there are rules to me that I've been taught from that other realm. So I don't invade. I don't like go through their sock drawer, so to speak. However, that is kind of how I learned from a spirit one time. That's another story. So I'm not like going into, that person's, too much invasive. If I'm looking to see, is this person lying? Is this person being deceiving? If they're hurting the person I'm reading for, that's all I'm really looking for. I'm not looking to cheat, so to speak. So I won't use that site to kind of say, oh, by the way, like, I can find a way to like tell you things about them that you can, make them call you, or, make them love you or something. That's kind of cheating. But I will like people, because people ask this a lot in relationships. I can see if this person, where their heart is at, what's going on in their life, what's happening with them and how they're feeling and all that kind of stuff. And I can describe them, but I don't go further than that, meaning like I'm not going into their house or anything. However, the other type of way, and the only time I do cheat is for myself. If it's someone I'm concerned about, someone who's close to me that I love and am worried about, I will remote view them to make sure they're okay. And that is the only time. However, the other type of remote viewing is that timeline. And that's the best way I could describe it. It's like jumping time. So when I see like 3 months from now, I'm not saying, okay, 3 months from now, this is what will happen. What I'm actually seeing is a vision of the person, let's say, getting the new job, sitting in the office, looking happy, feeling good. I can even describe the building and things like that. Sorry, Yoda again. And and that sort of thing. However, I always say this to people, is that I'm seeing for you this possible timeline, and you can say, I can say, look, I see that this call is going to come in at this time, and these are things you need to do. So you're participating in the future, and so using the remote viewing to see the future is not like set in stone. Like, you have to participate. And if you say, well, I got the call, but I said no to that job, or I didn't want to do this, or I walked away, then it's going to shift that future altogether. And that's what I tell people. Well, if you don't, then it's not like everything's doom and gloom and goes to hell. It's just a different sequence of events. So it's the idea of quantum energy, of that there's multiple timelines happening, and I'm just seeing those multiple timelines. So I'll say to someone, if you don't do this, this is the other possible outcome. Now, the only thing that you cannot control people. So even if I'm seeing a person and I can see what they're going through, and it's a relationship, I can't say to the person like, oh, for sure they're going to do this and they're sure they're going to do that, because that person has their own free will and their own feelings and their own thing going on. I can only look at them and see what's happening with them and help guide you. Like, if you want them to hear you, if you want them to connect to you, this is the way you have to approach it. Or, maybe the person just doesn't want to be, connecting in that kind of way, and you may have to accept it. So it's not a set in stone thing, especially in relationships. When it comes to business, or I've done courts work, I can see, business is a different energy. There's a different timeline with it. It's very like rigid, and like real estate and lawsuits and things. But you can remote view the lawyers and the judges and stuff. I'm not, again, invading anything, but you can just see what kind of person they are. And that's why I think some people kind of put this in the category of psychic, but it has been called remote viewing. Now, I did read an article that remote viewing was kind of put that through the government, and that there's a lot of articles and a lot of talk of that the government used remote viewing to like find things and stuff, which that's what I want to get to. What's important to know about this is what I've discovered. I actually found an article, and I should look it up, and I didn't, because sorry, I feel like I found it on accident just by Googling. And someone wrote a really good article about, I guess his view of remote viewing and how it was used in the government, and how, there's this whole idea that there was this program, and Stranger Things is definitely is based on remote viewing, which, by the way, when I saw Stranger Things, I didn't know it was based on remote viewing, but when I started watching it, I was like, that's kind of what I do, but obviously it's very exaggerated. Like I can walk through locations, but it isn't like you're there, but I'm also not in a tank or anything, so I don't know. But obviously TVs and shows and movies have to make it very, very visually exciting for you. So it's not like I'm actually, out of my body or something. That's a whole nother topic, astral projection and things like this, but it's not like that. It is me walking around a space, but it isn't like I'm awake, alert, sitting just like this, looking just like this, talking just like this, and able to see. So it's not like I'm like, where am I? Oh my gosh, it's not like that. It's obviously very exaggerated. However, that show is based on the idea that there was that there's this government program. So what I get back into the article that I thought was really interesting, because the one thing I have found the remote viewing doesn't work for is finding people and things. And I know that's disappointing to people, or it can seem like a cop out, but here's what I've understood to be why. In this article, he actually said it, and when he said that, it was somebody, I guess, who was in that program or worked at the time during that time the government was doing this program or something, and he said what they discovered is you can't find things or find people, or something about finding, not finding a location, or something. But it was really interesting, and I feel bad because I kind of, butchering this, what he said, and he said it so well, because when I read it, I related to it. So missing people and people going, oh, can you find my, wallet or whatever? I have found that it doesn't work so well. And here's what I have been told from that realm why. The reason why is because you're interfering with a timeline. So remember what I talked about? There's a timeline. There's a sequence of events that are happening. And in my own life, I've been able to do this because it's my own path, and I'm taking responsibility for my own path, and I can see things like that. But let's say someone lost their car or lost their keys. I've had people ask me to do this many times. It doesn't work because there may be reasons that sequence of event happened that's leading to another sequence of events. So if you're jumping and cheating and going, oh, I'm going to find this. And I'm not saying like, people probably say, oh, I'm sure I'm going to get comments like, oh, I found keys for people, or I found things. I'm sure that's probably true. But I'm saying like people, like really big things, really big things seems to be kind of an issue. And honestly, I don't really kind of use this for like finding keys and wallets, because it, like I said, I kind of feel there may be something to that as well, that maybe there's a sequence, like in the idea of you lost your keys, it's prolonging 10 minutes of you leaving the house. And there's a reason why there's 10 minutes being prolonged. That sequence of events would have, if you find them, maybe if you left, there would have been like an accident you got into, or a phone call you didn't receive or something. So I'm not saying it's preordained, but since it's in present time, there's some sequence of events that have happened to lead. Now, there's other reason for not using it for missing people is that you're really, really messing with people's emotions, right? For one. For two, you can't just sort of know or think or try to know. You have to, you can't do that to people ethically, to me, for one. For two, I have found that there's, if someone is supposed to find something out like that, then they have to find out in the proper time. You know what I'm saying? Like there may be a sequence of events of a timing of when they're supposed to find this kind of information out, and you're now interfering with it. Now, I am always one to say that this is what I've come to understand. For me, I'm not speaking for everyone, for one. For two, things are always shifting. My sight is always shifting. My understanding of it is always shifting. So I'm not saying there couldn't be a time in my life that I may understand better how to utilize it. But because I ethically like to be careful until I fully understand it, I wouldn't promise anybody anything like that. I have tried it in the past, and that's why I decided to go, I kind of got the message from that realm, like, let it be. There's a sequence of events that this person needs to find these things out. Same with like I said, like if it's like a big thing, like, well, I want to find, my car. I don't know why someone would lose their car, but I'm just saying, something like that. But I'm just saying, like, there seems to be bigger things that already, when those events happen, has already started a sequence of events for the future, and you're kind of interfering in it and you're disrupting it. So I hope that makes sense, because it's one of the biggest questions people ask, because of course wouldn't we want to utilize this type of thing for many heartbreaks and things that are going on. But I believe in, unless you are surely knowing that you've mastered this, like the way I feel more confident with my medium readings and intuitive readings, and I know I've honed it and honed it and honed it, I'm not going to put someone through that kind of false hope. I think it's wrong. So I've just been shown that for some reason it doesn't work. And when I saw this article about this person who was involved in this program, he said that he found the same thing, that it doesn't work. And he said they didn't know why, but I feel like it's because it's kind of like the idea of time travel. Well, you're messing with the sequence events of time. Now, because like maybe this person's supposed to find out in a certain way, it's their own, you're kind of interfering. So that's what I've learned to understand so far. However, with remote viewing, it is kind of like being at a satellite or looking at a matrix board to me, and I can see like turn left, turn right, and that type of thing, but also being able to look into places and see the map of it and things like that. Now, of course, one of the reasons why I was like really quiet about this for so many years, and people only knew I could do this through readings, was because I heard all these things about, people, put a lot of these theories about the government and stuff, and I was like, but I kind of feel that this is kind of out there and people kind of talk about it, and and all that kind of stuff, so it's not a quiet thing anymore. So I want people to also understand what it really is. I don't want people to have this idea of glamorizing it too much, and also to kind of put out there to ethically be responsible. So it is something I've taught people, because it is something you can teach, but it may not be what I found when I've taught in the past. I don't really teach it anymore, but when I've taught it in the past, it is one of those things that you can maybe get a little bit of it, but it's like everything else. It's it's kind of like, for me, it came natural, so, in a sense. So I'm just going to tell that quick story. It's not really a story, but how I actually learned was through a spirit. It was through the spirit realm, and that's when I started to realize that this had to do with time, because there is no time in the spirit realm at all. So I realized that they were showing me, when I would do medium readings, they would show me their house they grew up in. They'd show me the house that the person I'm reading for is in, and they were doing this. Their real reason for doing this for them was to confirm it's them. Hey, look, I do see you. I do see what's going on. I was there in your office. If they want to tell me something about their office or at work, or something they did with them in the car. So they're the ones that showed me. I learned everything from them. And then I started going, well, maybe can I do this in my intuitive readings for people? And I started, honing that. And that's how I learned, because I realized that I was passing through time. You're jumping through time and space. And that's really what remote viewing is. It's the idea that there is no time and space, and it's surpassing it. So I hope that made sense. I hope I get a lot of questions, because I feel like when I do these videos, like, I'm going to have to revisit it. Sorry, that is, yeah. for some reason my cats seem to think this is a perfect time for us to just play and jump and mess with me. They ignore me like kind of all morning until, like, I decide to do a video. You know how cats are. So anyway, so just to end, I just wanted to say that yeah, I hope this opens up some more questions and discussion about it. I just wanted to kind of touch on it because I've been asked about it before, and I've only talked about it briefly in other type of interviews and podcasts and things. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to it. So I know I'm going to have to revisit some of these videos that I've posted and kind of do more on subject matters, because obviously these are big subject matters. So thank you so much for listening. Definitely comment and subscribe and like and share if you want. Also, don't forget to listen to my new podcast that I'm doing with Mystic Dylan, which is The Witch and the Medium, where he kind of talks about his view on things as a witch, as a professional witch, and my view things medium. And we have a lot of good fun with it too, but we definitely cover a lot of serious subjects. I'm also going to be doing a podcast later on today that I'll be posting. So if you follow me on Instagram and Adele Levine, and on here and Facebook with the Bigfoot Collectors Club, you should check them out with Michael McMillian and Bryce Johnson. Michael McMillian from from True Blood, and Bryce Johnson is also a great actor. He's been in many things. I think Pretty Little Liars, I think he was one of them. Don't be mad at me, Bryce, if I'm wrong. But I'll be on there discussing. They're really funny guys, and check that out. Actually, that I'll be posting that release. And lastly, I'm coming to Montana in October. So if you're in the Montana area, follow my Facebook, follow my Instagram, which is mostly where I post, and my website, DaleLevine.com, to know how to come see me and get a reading and take my class on raising vibrations. Raising vibrations. Sorry, I whispered that. So anyway, have a great day. Remember, like I always say, listen to yourself, follow no one, follow that inner compass. You're the one that kind of knows things. All we're trying to do in this spirit world, as far as the spiritual world, as teachers and guides and readers and seers, is to guide you and open up what's you already know. See you soon.